Welcome back to the Yankee and the Brit. I am the Nostradamus of upset picks. That is Maddie, and we are back with another episode to review week 3.
Yeah, sorry. I just had a sneeze as you came to me, but it's gone now, so we're all fine. Yeah, I mean, as the games were coming in, I was like, oh, for God's sake, I've got to listen to Jay talking about how he's a Nostradamus. But man, you got this. I'm proud of you. Do you want to start with the one that was probably the craziest upset that you got? What's the one that you're most proud of?
I'm proud of the whole thing. Like that's just it's like, it's like having multiple children. You're proud of them all.
Yeah, I mean, you must feel like how I felt the first time we did this and we did the playoffs.
Right.
And I got everyone right until the NFC Championship game. All right. Should we start with talking about the upsets? The biggest surprise has got to be the Chargers versus the Jags, doesn't it? It's got to be the Chargers or the Jags. Got to be.
I don't know, because I don't hate the Chargers, but you like them a whole lot more than I do. And maybe they sent out a quarterback who was half fucking dead and asked him to throw 3,000 times.
Yeah, so that's a good place to start, actually. So I've kind of put my two thoughts on this into two different columns. So Chargers problems and are the Jags for real, and kind of like combine them against each other. And the fact that Herbert was injured and they just couldn't get any run going. They just didn't run the ball at all, which means people can just tee off on Herbert again. And it just seemed like, why is there such an imbalance to your offense when your quarterback, who's only in his second year, is got a really serious injury? You're going to get him hurt. You're going to get him really hurt. And he's basically what you've got to carry you to the end of this game. I'm pretty glad that I wasn't able to pick up Austin Eckler in fantasy football. And damn right, fuck those Giants. Be them Cowboys.
So, but why you got Herbert throwing the ball 45 times when he's injured, first of all? Your offensive line is in shambles right now. And you want to ask your quarterback to try to do that. It's his ribs. He's already fucking injured. And that's going to be a problem for the rest of the season, because you move him every time you do anything, even breathe.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just going to struggle. And Herbert still played all right. I had a feeling that if they had one more weapon, so the Jags do a really good job of shutting down Mike Williams. They do a really good job of that. Where's the next weapon for the Chargers after that? They're missing Keenan Allen in those big third down moments. Where is it for them?
Slater's out. That kills their whole offense.
Yeah, exactly. They're just not able to get anything going, and it feels like they need one more weapon at wide receiver. They need some run game happening. They just need to maybe just next game just commit to the run and just see what happens and just go from there. They also can't control the clock, so they have no ability to control the clock because they can't run. And the one thing that you don't want to happen when you can't run is to be run on. They allowed 151 yards of rushing yards against them. And the plays, they had 58 plays. The Jags had 75. The Jags had 38 minutes in total offense. And the Chargers had 21 minutes of total offense. You feel like, all right, you've got this stellar quarterback, but you can't get him on the field because you can't stop the run, so you can't get their team off the field. It did not look good for them at all.
No, but I don't want to take too much away from the Jags, because the Jags are a pretty sneaky good team with the right coach. Trevor Lawrence, I went back last night and went through the short versions of all of Trevor Lawrence's games. This kid is fucking slinging it.
Mm-hmm.
He is slinging it. And I know people can shit on Christian Kirk and how much they're paying him and whatever, but let me be real. Christian Kirk and Jones went off, and the best thing they did for a young quarterback is get him receivers. They put okay, they spent a lot of money on that offensive line also. I think I'm not saying they're gonna like run away this year, but the Jags are for real on a rebuild, and they picked the right guy to come in after Urban Meyer finger guns in the butt. You know, like, and this was the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
This weekend was the 1-year anniversary of Urban Meyer's finger guns.
Yeah, the Jags have some sneaky good play callers. I think a guy like Christian Kirk is great for a guy like Trevor Lawrence as well, like that dependable slot receiver. That's going to really help. Second year breakout. We're seeing what Trevor Lawrence can do with a coach who actually knows what the fuck they're doing. Like
Think
a coach
about
who
this
knows
in
how
the
to coach ball.
opposite of what you were saying about the Chargers. Robinson and ETN, 145 yards combined.
Yeah, exactly. And Travis Etienne is a playmaker. That's what we said. Robinson, more break it down the field, like that bell cow guy.
Every down, smash you in the mouth. Yeah.
Which is great. And then we said this when Etienne got drafted. We're like, this dude is a play caller. This guy really knows what he's doing. When it comes to making plays, he's going to be explosive. And he looked so good on the field on Sunday. He just looked really, really good, especially when you watch the highlight reels of the way he played. He looked great. They also look decent on defense. Let's not forget that they held the Chargers to 10 points. That's pretty impressive going. They were able to take Williams out the game, and as soon as they take Williams out the game, they really limit that passing game, and they couldn't get anything going. I mean, I'm not going to say the Jags are going to the moon or they're going to the Super Bowl or anything like that. I just think they're moving in the right direction. That AFC South seems to have just kind of flipped entirely.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence only had 11 incompletions. He went 28 for 39, 262 with 3 touchdowns and 0 picks.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence kind of looks like the guy that we think everybody seemed to think he was going to be now that he has a decent coach. Look, Doug Peterson calling great games.
When I called the upset, I did not call a 28-point fucking upset. But I think that it just proved that it just proved that the injury to Herbert, because we both know Herbert can play.
Mm-hmm.
The injury to the offensive line with Slater and not having your number one receiver in Keenan Allen and hitting a team that's better than people think. And I heard, I think it was Pat McAfee, but somebody said it this morning, which was a really good point. Your fans are upset that you lost to a good team because they had the first overall pick 2 years in a row. But that doesn't mean that they're the worst football team in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we'll come on to this, but there are a few teams that are like that in the NFL, it looks like this year. One of them is the Detroit Lions. So losing a close game, winning a close game to the Detroit Lions feels like you won a close game to the Detroit Lions, but they're different. Same about teams like the Texans recently, and the Falcons are looking pretty decent as well. Teams that we thought were going to be garbage, and then there's teams that we thought were going to be good. So teams more like the Bengals or the Chargers. The Chargers are a good point. I think the Chargers, a lot to do with it is injuries. If they can kind of get over it, then if they can get over the injury bug, then they'll feel a lot better about it. But you're right. I don't want to take too much away from the Jags. I mean, they look good on defense, and Peterson is calling a great game.
Yes. Well, Maddie, we'll move on to my next Nostradamus pick. Okay. Bills, Dolphins. I just told you it was a bad setup for the Bills. Both safeties out. You're in Florida. It's 90 some fucking degrees in Miami. These guys from Buffalo cannot breathe. You know what I mean? It was just the setup game for the Bills. It's a divisional game. The Bills are a way better team. There's a lot of arguments about this online right now about the Bills getting robbed. I'm just saying the Nostradamus of the upset this week. I called that.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't realize how much the stadium was built to really fuck up the away team, especially during September. They put you in the sun. Like you are.
Right down.
They're sitting in the shade. It really sums up how fucking shady the Miami Dolphins are.
I don't
They're
think that's shady. You take every benefit. The Vikings built their stadium to echo.
No. Definitely. Like, I agree with you, but with the Dolphins, it feels even fucking worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Dolphins have a reputation for being a bit shady, quite a lot of scumbaggery, you know.
The owner's a scumbag. Yes,
Yeah, the
absolutely.
owner's an absolute scumbag. And you could feel him going like, do you know what? We can genuinely cause players to dehydrate on the other team by not allowing them in the shade whatsoever. Yeah, I never realized how big of a problem that was until watching the game. I mean, you could see that they wilted towards the end of the game. Like, they genuinely look like, you know, like a salad that you've left out in the sun like too long. That's what the Bills' offense looked like towards the end of that game, just because, and their defense as well, just because they've been on the sideline absolutely dying. Wow. Oh, that's pretty crazy. I mean, good game plan by the Dolphins. I guess I didn't expect it to be a defensive slugfest. I think I predicted 40 points to 37 to the Bills, I think, or something like that. So I just look like an absolute idiot. I'm really not sure how the Bills lost this game, though. They beat themselves. They found a way to beat themselves. And special teams loses games.
Can we now? Well, we have always admitted it, but can everybody now admit that concussion protocols are a fucking joke?
We've said it since we started.
I was texting with Suge during the games on Sunday, but I wasn't watching the Bills game, so I had to go back and rewatch it. Tua got up stumbling, bro, like stumbling.
Oh, it's
and
a back problem.
They're like back, right? But then Tua's like, I passed percussion protocol. And then I know that the Dolphins now are pinning on the independent neurologist, like they cleared him. That's why we said it was just the back, because he was clear to that. So now we're just working on the back. So I'm just saying that we can just all chalk it up now to concussion protocols are a joke.
That shit was scary to watch, man. Like I've seen teammates of mine when I've been playing rugby be knocked out like that, and it is honestly shit. Like it gives you shakes. Like it is difficult to watch somebody go through that kind of thing. And Tua's a baller. Like nobody's ever said about Tua that he's not a big gamer. Like we all know Tua's tough. We know he's got that kind of thing in him. But like I've compared that kind of tangibles with Dak Prescott. I feel like he is really that kind of guy. He's always want to go.
They're both tough as nails.
Yeah, exactly. He's always going to want to go back in, and we know that about him. There's no way that he should have been allowed to play that game before. And the NFLPA have been like, they're going to review it. And I mean, I guess that means they'll look into it. What are they going to? They'll get something else out of that, like play maybe one less preseason game, which is what they're going to go for anyway. So they're just going to use it to go for everything. It's not worth it.
No, but that's exactly props to him for being that tough, because you want your players that tough. But that's when the team has to step in and protect you from yourself. So I agree with this 100%.
Yeah, if it's not against the Bills in a divisional game, in a close divisional game, there's no way Tua is going back out on that field.
Now I have to ask, and I know it's a different ball game, but I would say that would we be having the same conversation if it was the Super Bowl?
I mean, I would.
I'm a dick. I think I'd be like, well, it's the Super Bowl, and I go all Drago on him. If he dies, or whatever. But let's just be the football fan and be like, it's the Super Bowl, bro. Like, how you know?
Yeah, like you get where that kind of thing's coming from. And if it's the Super Bowl, the coach is definitely not stopping him from going back in, and good luck stopping the player from going back in. You better believe it. But I'd still always say, from the world of rugby, and in rugby, like if you stumble off like that, you're ruled out for like 2-3 weeks. Like you're not allowed to come back. Like
yeah, and I still am all for player safety, but I probably look at it a little different because we didn't get concussions in sports in the 90s. They didn't even talk about it. They were like, we did, you know what I mean? But they didn't even talk about it. It was just like, oh, coach, I got my head wrong. Give me a minute. Yep, okay, let me know when you're ready to go back in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He'll
probably play next week.
You know, SK to Ryder, what's up? Go over and cop his new music over at Overtime Hustling.
He'll probably, but yeah, Tua will probably play next week. Let's be real, nothing's going to happen. It'll all be exactly the same. I don't think this is a big deal for the Bills. I still wouldn't fall off the Bills bandwagon for this.
One thing we didn't bring up is how do you throw for 400 yards and lose the game?
That's that. So I'm convinced that stat is wrong on Google. I'm convinced that it's wrong. There's no way.
Not. I'm on the NFL scoring sheet right now.
Yeah, they had
400
the Bills
yards.
had 31. The Bills had 31 first downs. They ran 90 plays. They had 40 minutes in times of possession. They had 495 total yards and 0 interceptions.
Go look at his passing yards. I mean, he literally had like 180.
So I was like, oh, they must have been so shit at converting on third down. Like, that has to be it. So bad on converting on third down. No, they went 11 and 18. So I watched the game. I watched it happen, and it didn't feel like it was like 400 yards that they threw for or anything like that. It was, I don't get it. I don't understand how they lost that game. They beat themselves. I mean, when you're kicking a punt, when you're kicking a punt off your long snapper's arse, like, you're always going to struggle to win a game.
So what is better, the butt punt or the butt fumble? Because I'm still not sure yet. I'm not sure which one's better.
I mean,
probably the butt fumble, just because Sanchez ate the ass in his whole face.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to avoid that ass of a long snapper. That shit is huge. Like, I feel sorry for the punter in that situation, whereas buffing a punt is just so bad. Like, that's just awful. But yeah, special teams loses games, basically. That's all I can take from that. Special teams loses games.
Well, let's move on to a game that Free Smoke looked like a fucking genius. Shout out Free Smoke. Kansas City to Indianapolis Colts. But my thing is, here is my problem with this game. This is my absolute problem. The game was changed because the ref threw a flag on something that came out of a guy's mouth that the guy who he said it to didn't even blink an eye over. Like, Matt Ryan never even fucking flinched. So I don't care what he said. You are professional football players. You're good. As a ref, stay the fuck out of that. Unless he puts his hands on him, you should not be determining the fate of a game because of something that came out of somebody's mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you to decide what's offensive and what's not? You leave that for court of arbitrations after games. Like, that sort of stuff gets sorted out after the game. Find that dude. Like, if it's that kind of thing, that shouldn't affect the game. There's been a few calls like that of like bad sportsmanship calls, and it's like, so Devin Wilson's against the Giants for the Cowboys, like hitting the ball away when he thought the ball was thrown at him, falls in the same category. It's just, what the fuck? Like, you can't let that decide a game. There's no way you can let it decide a game. You need to know what's said. I need to know what's been said there. Is it racial? If it's racial,
okay. If it's racial, I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah.
If it's like that, but I don't care if he told him to go do his whole family with some inappropriate objects in an inappropriate place. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a football game. And like you said, if it's that offensive, as long as it's not racial, take that shit to the commissioner afterwards and fine him.
Yeah, find that dude after. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't be affording. It shouldn't be affording games. Like, it's ridiculous. That isn't where Kansas City lost the game, though. They should have iced that game way before that. That game should have been done. 9 times out of 10, Kansas City win that game. 9 times out of 10. Again, poor special teams loses football games. It's very difficult for a special team to win a football game, but it's really easy for them to lose a football game. The Colts are down and out, like 0-2, playing absolutely awful, and first play for your special teams is a muff punt, and like they're there, they're ready. And the Colts, although it gives them, and then this game is kind of shown as the blueprint that the Colts will be able to have when they go forward, which is if they're in the lead, which is something that we know they can do, they will be able to get a running game going. I think they ran for 82 yards. I'm like, not loads of rushing, but Alec Pierce, I told you about Alec Pierce. He looked good. After week 1 stone hands, he looked good. And Michael Pittman is back for them. So they do have some sort of blueprint. when they are fully healthy and can be efficient. So what are Kansas City doing? They missed a field goal. Terrible. And on top of that, why run that fake there? Why run the fake there? Why not get ahead? Why? That's so stupid. Trying to outsmart themselves again. And what we said at the start of the year was Mahomes is suiting this new role in a system where he can be efficient. He doesn't have to light the world on fire or
And if
anything
you're
like that.
going to
So why
go
try and
for
get
it,
too smart?
why is it not in the best player on your team's hands?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fake. That makes no sense. Even if you're going to go for it, put it in Patrick Mahomes' hands.
Yeah, like I don't mind a fake, but just not in that situation. Not in a situation where you're clearly better than the other team against you. Like a fake works if you can't get any offense going. Like if you're garbage compared to the other team, then a fake works. That's fine. Do it. But that's just a ridiculous play call by them. Again, I think the Chiefs beat themselves. The Colts, it looked like they remembered that they should be one of the best defenses in the league. That's one thing I can say about them.
They had like 60 yards rushing, and 25 of them came from Mahomes.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, I guess I don't have to beat the horse. I'm just saying, like, so I'll leave it to the Colts for me to praise them all offseason, praise them the first 2 weeks. I'm driving the fucking Colts bus. I jump off the bandwagon, and then they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, they beat the Chiefs by 3 points in a game where KC beat themselves. Like, and the refs helped them. But Matt Ryan looked good on that final drive. Matt Ryan did what they traded him here to do. That's what they wanted Matt Ryan for. Be efficient with the football. They'll eventually get that run game going. You feel like the Colts might have started to turn it around and be a little bit better than we thought they were going to be after those last 2 games. But Kansas City beat themselves again in this game. I wouldn't worry about Kansas City, though.
Oh, no. It does give the Colts fans some life, but you're right. I am not worried about Kansas City at all.
Yes and no.
I think it's going to make him a better quarterback overall because he has to read through more, but he's already great. But I don't know. Like Tyreek Hill is a monster. So do they lose that game if they have Tyreek Hill? Probably not.
It's almost like if you said to Mahomes now, it's almost like getting rid of Tyreek Hill has shown Mahomes and Andy Reid what they can do when they play more of a system. And now if they got Tyreek Hill back and added Tyreek Hill into that system, rather than just playing backyard ball, like they'd be unstoppable.
He stretches the field. He gets double teamed. He opens up for the running game. So, I mean, a guy like Tyreek does a lot.
Yeah. And just to go back to the Dolphins game as well, how do you lose to the Dolphins when Tyreek Hill only has 2 receptions for about 6 yards? Like what? Like what happened there? But anyway, sorry, I'm just perplexed by that game.
All right, we do have some other games to get to, but before we get to them, here's a quick word from our boy Freezus at Overtime Hustling.
What's good? It's your homie, Freezus Christ. Y'all know the deal. Make sure y'all head on over to overtimehustling.com where you can catch all the latest merch, all the newest mags, all the media, everything, know what I mean? And you can also find me on Winging It with the homies Keith G, King Dale, and Payne Gusto. And you can catch me on Turf Tales with the homie SK. And if you got nothing to do on Sundays, even if you do got something to do, make sure you tap in the Overtime Reactions hosted by the homie Cuzzo. And I cannot forget the homie Jay over there at the Yankee and the Brit channel. So make sure y'all go over there and check them out. And hey, check me out, your boy Freezus, on that Real Talk with Jay. It was a hell of an interview, yo. Gotta do it again. I keep saying it because I mean it. We gotta do it again. I had a great motherfucking time. But anyway, you know who it is. Freezus H, OTH, Yankee and the Brit, Winging It, Turf Tales, Overtime Reactions, Chronicles Podcast. You know the drill, Cush's Corner. It's a motherfucking movement. So move with it. Or move out the motherfucking way. Simple and plain.
Overtime hustling, we hustling overtime.
Like I always tell you, they got a lot of great merch. Get the newest magazine, some music, but they can show you way better than I can tell you. So go over to overtimehustling.com.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely go check them out. They've been great to us. So yeah, I mean, and yes, let's actually get that sorted out. I have loads more time in the next few weeks, so let's get let's get all of this done. I'm back, and I have more time, so let's sort all of this
And
out.
I just think your British ass saying it's a motherfucking movement would just be hilarious.
It is a motherfucking movement, and people do need to get out the fucking way. I mean, what more do people need than that? Right, where are we going to next?
All right, I got a lot to say. Let's jump on the Vikings Lions real quick.
Okay, yeah, I mean, do you want me? I'll just go quickly with my notes, and then I'll just get out of your way. Let's just go with that, because that's what we usually do when we're talking about either the Vikings or the Lions, the Vikings or the Cowboys. Sorry. So, all I'm going to say is, people have come out and they've said, "Oh, the Vikings have only just beat the Lions," and I was the same with the Eagles. I feel like saying a team only just beat the Lions and saying that as a criticism is now becoming a bit harsh. I think the Lions are a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I think it's an overhang of what the Lions used to be. I think they've got a really solid two-headed monster in the backfield. I mean, Williams went for 87 yards, like, with DeAndre Swift out. I love their wide receiver room. Jay Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, and then Hawkinson at tight end as well. Like, Hawkinson isn't having the offense run through him like anymore. He's almost on the outside of that offense. Like, they're waiting to incorporate him in. Like, they have an explosive room, and Goff is playing really well. I just think that they're still like stupidly over aggressive. Like, it makes no sense. They went for it on 4th down 6 times. I mean, yes, they completed 4 of them. Like, that's amazing. Like, complete 4 and 6 on 4th down. That's great. Like, well done, but still maybe a bit over aggressive and a bit emotional. And yeah, I think the Vikings have still got what it takes. Like, I'm still good on the Vikings with what they do. They just need to run that ball through Dalvin Cook more. He went for 96 yards. So we saw how they can get everything moving. 5.6 yards a carry from Dalvin Cook, which is pretty solid running. And with JJ getting taken away, it was good to see Thielen and Osborne stepping up. You feel like that's going to have to happen. And a good bend but don't break defense. Like, I mean, you allowed 416 total yards, 416 total yards, and still won. So the bend and don't break seems to kind of work there as well. I think it's harsh to say that, they only just beat the Lions, so they've got to be shit.
Well, the Lions always play the Vikings and the Packers tough. And shout out Deuce, Alexander Madison. Dude, Deuce, did you see him truck through that line, carrying dudes with him? Deuce was balling yesterday after Delvin went out. Detroit's getting better, don't get me wrong. And I was not happy with the Vikings game, to the point where I'm pretty sure it took a couple years off my life. And I was so worked up at the end, I literally forgot to go check if Julio was playing and started a guy who wasn't even playing in fantasy. But I got lucky and won, but that's neither here nor there. I was very encouraged about how the Vikings' resiliency was. Very encouraged about that, because that game could have easily got away from them. But I'm still not really happy with how they're playing. And the defense is pissing me off still.
Yeah, the defense is a weird one for me, because they are good, but they're also terrible. Like, it's a strange defense to watch. You've got the talent on defense. That's what makes it so painful. Like, that's what makes it so painful to watch. Like, what do you think that is? Do you think it's possibly scheme? That's the problem.
I'm hoping it's just them all getting used to being in a 3-4 instead of a 4-3.
Yeah, because the same happened with the Dallas Cowboys defense when Kevin Nolan came in, moved it to a 3-4. Yeah. Mike Nolan, sorry. Kevin Nolan used to play up front for Newcastle United and once scored 5 goals against Sunderland. That's why I got confused. Yeah, Mike Nolan came in, changed it to a 3-4. We look terrible. Dan Quinn comes in, takes back over, changes it into what we've got now.
Oddly, if you watch the tape, it's oddly our linebackers being out of place. And with Jordan Hicks and Kendricks, you don't expect those two to ever be out of place. So I'm hoping it's just they're getting used to a new scheme and it'll all adjust itself. because all those plays are coming in the middle, and it's always our linebackers are out of place somewhere, and it's killing me. It's freaking killing me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
hard to watch when you see that space open. When it's a hole so big that me and you can run through, you know that that's probably a scheme problem.
I forget who the corner was, but he gets called 5 times for illegal contact. Okay, for the Detroit
Oh,
Lions, and
yeah.
then he absolutely rapes Justin Jefferson, and they're like, "Yeah, no call on fucking 4th down or 3rd down, whatever." Like, how are you going to call him 5 times for ticky tack shit, and then when he absolutely rapes the receiver, you just don't call it?
Yeah, I mean, some of those ones that got called on, you were like, "Oh, you're being so harsh on this dude." Like, it almost got to the point where they couldn't give any more fouls on him because they felt sorry for him. Like, when you get that one kid who's just terrible and like just doesn't understand the rules, is absolutely shit. So you can't keep on fouling them, otherwise they'll quit the game and then it just becomes pointless. That's what it felt like watching that. I can't remember his name either. I don't think we'll be seeing him next week, though.
I think he was number 24, but I could be wrong on that too.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
kept hearing like illegal contact. That's what every time I saw a flag though, I was like, there's another illegal contact.
So where do you see the Vikings going from here? Up and down season all the way through, or
London.
yeah, well, obviously, yeah. Mm. We'll talk about that.
Sterling Shepard's knee, that fucking
Yeah. I mean,
his
that's
poor
just a
knee.
freak accident. What happened to
That
Sterling
poor
Shepard?
knee.
I think we're talking about Sterling Shepard wiping out Diggs. But we'll talk about that. That'll come up, I'm sure. Yeah, with the Vikings, I kind of see them. I still see them as the real deal because I think Detroit are a real deal this year. Like, I genuinely think Detroit might get double-digit wins, like the way that they're playing. I don't know why. I just, for some reason, I have faith in Detroit. I think they'll beat the Packers. Like, I'm really feeling them against the Packers. Yeah. I'm really feeling them against the Packers. I'm feeling them against the Bears. That's 4 wins. I mean, I feel like they could get double-digit wins. So I think just beating the Lions shows you can have a really solid team and still have room for improvement. It's like what we said against the Packers. The Vikings still aren't playing their best ball and are winning and are beating good teams. So when the Vikings basically get on song and start playing their best ball, they can beat anybody.
If the Vikings do not win next Sunday, because I have to get up at 8 in the fucking morning because you tossers need a game, I'll be so mad all day and tired. I'll be horrible.
I was up till 4:30 last night, man.
I don't do mornings.
Don't give me that. If that shit went to overtime last night, I genuinely wouldn't have gone to sleep before work.
That's you. You're 23. I'm 44. Or you're 23,
yeah,
24, whatever. You're young. And 20. And so I'm 44. I'm old and I don't do mornings. So
yeah, I mean, you'll get up to watch the beloved Vikings, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the game to come.
Yeah, zero pregame. I am not watching any pregame, but
I never watched the pregame. I really enjoyed us doing our own pregame this week. I feel like that could become a regular thing because it was better than listening to those arseholes on the TV. It seemed to work out a lot better. Yeah, shall we head over to your division rivals? Let's head over to Green Bay and talk Packers against the Bucks.
Sure. Nostradamus here. Sure, we can.
Yeah, I mean, what? That was possibly one of the worst. It's knickers in a twist.
Okay,
actually,
we learn something every day. Knickers in a twist.
But yeah, that's got to be the worst game that Rodgers and Brady have ever played against each other. Has to be.
I told you it's Brady in the postseason, Rodgers in the regular season, right? So that was where I went with that. Now, don't get me wrong. That's the one game I would have loved to be fucking wrong on. Would have loved to. But do we think it's a different game if Brady's full strength?
Yeah, I mean, if Brady's not going through marital issues, if Brady's not if Brady actually played some in the, if Brady still actually
I
played
meant
some in
like,
the preseason,
Godwin.
yeah, and then if they had wide
Evans,
receivers, if they had
Julio.
one more wide receiver, like if Mike Evans wasn't suspended, they win that game. That's how. If Julio Jones played, they win that game. That's how that felt. Is this a win to be proud of for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, because
What
it's going to make it. It could really do a lot with playoff seeding. So you take that win. This is the NFL. Every win is tough. You take that win. You go home. You pat yourself on the back for the night, and then you focus on the next game.
I don't know. I wouldn't be patting myself on the back. I'd be like, yeah, great, we got the win, but I wouldn't be patting myself on the back after that win, to be honest. I mean,
every win you celebrate for one night. That's my rule.
Yeah. I wouldn't have even celebrated that one if I was Rodgers. Bucks had no receivers. The wide receiver problems for the Packers / the mistrust is still there. Like, it is glaringly obvious that he doesn't trust his wide receivers.
Is looking good though. Like, Romeo Doubs is going to be their. I said this at the beginning of the year. Yeah. He's going to be their number one receiver.
I mean, you did, but if he's your number one receiver, how good is your wide receiver core? That's what I want to know. I do agree that Rodgers, yes, he got the job done with those receivers, fine, but he has to play with those receivers all year. But on the other side of that, they get a win over a really good Bucs defense. Let's not let that slide. It's just a train of thought. They also went 6-15 on third down, which is not good. You're going to have to improve that as well throughout the game. I would love to see Rodgers taking more shots downfield. I would love to just see him just hauling some out deep balls and just trying to not do this dink and dack thing.
You don't think this too often about a receiver, but Alan Lazard changes that whole running game because that dude blows people up in the run game. He blocks like he is a freaking lineman.
Yeah, definitely. It's what Cooper Kupp does so well for the Rams. It's why that Rams offense goes really well. I mean, that blocking from wide receivers makes a massive point. Also, do you think this Bucs loss is just injuries? Do you think there are other problems with the Bucs because they only rushed for 35 yards?
This is what I think, and this is everybody did this to the Patriots. Oh, they're not looking good. They're not looking right. And then by week 6, them dudes are clicking and humming all the way through the playoffs, right? So I think that just Brady starts slow. He's like some of those fighters, like a Nate Diaz. He starts slow. But if you let him get into the championship rounds and hang around, you're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. They also went 2-11 on third down, that kind of goes more with what you're saying. They're not linking up. I don't think we can give any receiving stats much credit for Brady with his wide receiver core at the moment. But is this wide receiver? So take it back to the Saints game now, where their defense won them the game. Let's be real, their defense won them that game. With Evans available, is that wide receiver core worse than in New England? I don't think so. I think that wide receiver core is better than in New England when Mike Evans is in the wide receiver core. I mean, so why isn't it working here? What's going on behind the shit? That's all I want to know. But I do get what you're saying. Watch out for them. They're like the Patriots.
Yeah, I think it's just Tom Brady. I think he takes time and then his guys click up and they're running what mesh between what Brady had with McDaniels and what Leftwich has, which there's a lot of nuance too. So I think these receivers and Tom Brady missing a little bit of the offseason, different things, they just need time to click up. I think they'll be in the playoffs, and I think by the time they get to the playoffs, that team's going to be humming and nobody's going to want to see him.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see Tom Brady in the playoffs, do you? And how's your rumors going of Gronk coming back? Have you heard anything?
I heard that, but I did hear this morning OBJ plans to sign with a team and play around Thanksgiving.
That's got to be the Bucks. That it has to. I don't know why I think it's the Bucks.
There's three teams
feel
who
that.
have had conversations with him, and OBJ is also going to wait to see where they are that he's admitted. And he said there's a couple other teams that don't want their name out there. But the three teams that he has admitted have been the Rams, the Bucks, the Vikings.
Oh, the Vikings would be interesting.
Kevin O'Connell, that's why. Offensive coordinator from the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings would be interesting. That would be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, if the Cowboys got him,
I'm not banking on it, but if it happened, I'd be excited.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cowboys got him, I'd be very hyped. He's the kind of wide receiver we could do with, like, a bit more experience.
I heard from multiple on the internet and on TV from multiple sources that Gronk won't say anything, but his fiance and his father have both said he's coming back this year.
I could see you being an NFL insider, man. That job would suit you down to the ground. I think you'd be great at it. I think we need to find a way to get Jay to NFL Insider. Everybody share this video with the hashtag JNFL Insider. That'd be awesome.
Hashtag Ian Rappaport, help me out.
Hashtag please Ian, give me a job. That would be the one.
Me and Ian will re-kick up his old podcast, Ian and Friends, and we can be his friends.
Shit. Yeah, man. I would love that.
Rap sheet and friends. Well, we are the friends.
Yeah, and I mean, something else that I loved was last night's game.
Yes, that's what I was. You would think you were a professional. I was just going to move on to
that. Because how about them Cowboys? That's all I got to say.
Let me say a couple things, and I'll get out your way. One, that I thank God that game didn't go to overtime, because that at times was a rough game to watch, and I'm sure you'll admit that as a Cowboys fan.
Oh yeah.
Two, Danny Dimes might as well become Saquon Barkley's backup, and you just get a new fucking quarterback, because that dude could do nothing but run for his fucking life, and he's not a very accurate thrower, but it doesn't help when your offensive line sucks complete ass. And the last point I'll make, because you'll make all the points about Diggs and everything else, Cooper Rush can play a little bit of football.
Yeah, definitely. Cooper Rush is an excellent backup quarterback. He's an excellent backup quarterback. I want everybody to start shutting the fuck up about him being the guy in Dallas over Dak Prescott, because I have a feeling if Dak Prescott is in that game, we blow the Giants out.
What did I text you? Do you remember? Last week during the Cowboys game, I said, "Ooh, he's gonna Wally Pip him," and then I said, "I don't know if you know who Wally Pip is, but he's taking Dak's job." Like, yeah.
No, he's not. There is no way. If Dak Prescott is playing in that game, we blow the Giants out. The Giants are awful. They are a bad football team. I know they're 2-1. They're 2-1 because they've played good football teams. Yeah. We pressured Daniel Jones the most of Daniel Jones' entire career, and Daniel Jones has played behind the worst offensive lines imaginable for his entire career, and we got 0 sacks. I don't understand how we got 0 sacks on offense.
He's still going to have nightmares because of your defense. Last night when he went to bed, he woke up in cold sweats from your defense.
He's like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, man. Like that's what he saw. But I'll just quickly finish on the Giants. I genuinely don't think they're a good football team whatsoever. I don't think they have any creativity in their offense. I feel like Danny Dimes, I genuinely want to see Danny Dimes on a different football team just to give him a chance to see what would happen. Like, I think Danny Dimes, I'm a Danny Dimes fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say he's like a top 15 quarterback, maybe top 20. He's in that range where if he's your guy, you're always looking for something better. But I wish the Giants media would stop throwing him under the bus for their team being terrible. They've played 2 awful teams to start out with. And what I saw last night was shocking. They were really bad. Really bad.
I agree they could get up to 7 wins, but I think that's their cap.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're capped 7 wins, I'm saying you're really bad. That's especially in our division with our schedule.
So do you remember, was it last year or the year before? Year before, when the Bears started out 5-0 or 6-0, and we were like, they are the worst 6-0 team I had ever seen.
Yeah,
The
when the
Giants.
Steelers went 11-0,
But the Giants were 2-0, and we're just like, everybody was like,
Terrible.
oh, the Giants. And I'm like, I'm
Awful.
still not sold on the Giants.
It's so bad. But who was it? When the Steelers were 11-0, when was that? 2 seasons ago? Last season? They went 11-0 with Big Ben, and they were bad. Like, they were an awful 11-0. We were terrible that year. That was a really bad year for us, and we
That was
nearly
last-
beat them.
No, that was the year before.
Year before. I think it was the year before. They were awful. But yeah, and then on the Cowboys front, we would have blown them out with Cooper Rush if we didn't keep on getting in our own way with penalties. There were some penalties that were caused by the crowd noise with rookie O-linemen, those false starts and stuff. I'm willing to let them slide. They'll get a bit better. I mean, and then a few absolutely fucking ridiculously stupid ones. So stuff like what was it? Donovan Wilson hitting that guy out of bounds. That was dumb, like so stupid, things like that. But our defensive line is legit. I won't let anybody hear anything bad about our defensive line. It's legit. It could do with maybe a bit of discipline but basically what they did was say, we're going to go kill Daniel Jones tonight. And they just like pinned their ears back and went straight for Daniel Jones, which just left massive running lanes up the middle. So maybe a bit of discipline at points, guys. That would be great. But I feel confident in our defensive line to disrupt games. We'll always play people hard. When you then have people like Diggs on the back end who can, like Diggs can cover. Like when Diggs plays coverage, he can cover. He just forgets that his first job is to cover before going for the fucking football every time. So Diggs is actually good in coverage when he's playing in coverage.
Troy Aikman made me laugh when he said, did that go through Diggs' chest? How did he not catch that?
Honestly, I nearly went through the roof. If I wasn't in a hotel, if I was at home, I would have gone absolutely insane because the Cowboys are my fantasy defense. And I was so annoyed, like watching them, like the amount of turnovers that we should have had, I could have won that game with that Cowboys defense, if they took the amount of turnovers and the amount of sacks that they should have had. And Diggs got that pick six. Also, our rush game is legit. Our offensive line is actually good. Do you feel the same when you watch the offensive line? I'm not going too big on the Cowboys. We're gonna get in our own way. We're gonna beat ourselves quite a few times this year. Cooper Rush is a great backup, but we need Dak back soon. As far as I can see, we should have put more than 23 points on that Giants team. But I feel like I'm giving a lot of love in, so I need to bring them back down to earth. But how do you feel about our offensive line?
Now, this is usually the backwards of what you hear, but I think your pass rush is better than your run blocking, and I think your running back saved your ass a few times in that game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. I did think
that better be the safest fucking helmet in the world that Ezekiel Elliott's wearing, because it is ugly as fuck.
It seems to be making him run harder, so I'm good.
If it's safer, cool, I'm with you. But if it's not, bro, we gotta talk.
No, because you can't cover.
J.C. Jackson, but nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, like Diggs can cover. Diggs can be the best cornerback in the league if he decides to cover rather than going for interceptions every time.
I guarantee you he will probably, well, I said guarantee probably. Okay. He will probably have the most interceptions by any corner again this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I love that. It's what the Cowboys have needed for a long time. So that's great. But when Jason Peters came in, 40-year-old Jason Peters came in and played left guard and looked like that left side in the run game, that left side was mauling people. That was something to watch for a while until the Giants could stop it. We were killing people. Pollard rushed for 105 yards. I mean, he's got that explosive play in him. I love Tony Pollard. Zeke Elliott's running really hard. That's great. And I just want to give a shout out to Noah Brown once again, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite Cowboys, Mr. Dependable Noah Brown. And I feel like CeeDee Lamb had great stats considering he dropped the ball as well. If the Cowboys wide receivers could catch in that first half, the game would have been put to bed and I could have just gone to sleep nice and early. But that it doesn't matter. That's fine. But CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Noah Brown are going to be a good wide receiving call when everybody's back and healthy.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot with another game quick because I want to get your reaction on this. So with the 4 points that Justin Fields got you in fantasy football.
Yeah.
And the 106 yards with 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 50% accuracy. Are you still sold on a guy who barely, and if it wasn't for Herbert running for 157 with 7.8 yards per carry, they would have lost that game handily to the Texans? Are you still sold on Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I mean, everybody thought
Justin Fields.
I feel like a lot of people thought they were going to lose that game to the Texans because of the way that the Texans have been playing, and they still won the game.
Despite Justin Fields, and he tried to help the Texans win.
Yeah, but they won their first game because of Justin Fields. So I don't.
Monsoon.
Yeah, they won it because of their quarterback in a monsoon.
Running, not throwing. He's a quarterback, not throwing.
Lamar Jackson doesn't throw as much as.
Go watch HQ Shipley break down Lamar Jackson like he did this morning, and you will be amazed on the accuracy that he saved his receiver so much of a beating. It was an amazing thing that he took you through. He intentionally throws guys to get hit in the back instead of the shoulder. I didn't have as much respect for Lamar's accuracy as I do this morning.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's not. That's not to change the subject or discard what you're saying. I literally have to tell people, go watch that because it was a very impressive breakdown of what Lamar does.
Yeah, no, Lamar can throw the ball. I'm being facetious just because I'm being facetious because I love Justin Fields. But I still think I'm not willing to judge Justin Fields on one game. He's going to have growing pains and stuff like that. I know he's played it's his second year in the NFL and still in a terrible offense. Let's see what he's got. Considering he's responsible for winning them one game this year as well against the 49ers, I feel like let's cut him some slack. I was pissed. It looked like I changed him in. I changed him into play. I mean, Russell Wilson's my other quarterback, so it wouldn't have really made much of a difference. But I changed him into play at 5:59 p.m. US time, so 1 minute before the game started, and at 6:10. So I think I'm saying Eastern time here when the game starts. So it must be 7 p.m. your time when the games start, right? So but 6 p.m. Eastern. So at 5:59 p.m. Eastern, I put him in as my quarterback to play. At 6:05 p.m. Eastern, the guy's pulled off a massive run and has got 7 fantasy points. And then by the end of the game, he's got 4 fantasy points. Like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, oh man, I look so great right now. This is going to be so sick. And then he let me down. But at least he came out and admitted how bad he's been. Like, it's nice to see a guy come out and say, mate, I've been ass. Is what he said.
Yeah, because he was really bad.
Mm-hmm. They still got the win though.
Quote. Assessment of it, Justin Fields' harsh assessment of his own performance versus the Texans. Straight up. I just played like, I want to say the A word, but I'm not going to do that. But I just played like trash. I played terrible. And really, I just got to get better. Should have been every quote from every game he's played in the NFL.
You can't say that for the 49ers game. And last season, right.
He's a quarterback. He can't throw.
Last season, he looked decent in parts. He can't throw to no one. There is nobody there for him to throw to. Their team, their offensive line is not good. Last game he was terrible. His mechanics are just sometimes they're in the fucking bin. Since you pointed it out to me, I'm like, yeah, those need fixing. But then there's times where he just looks awesome. And I just think he just give him a bit more time. He's another guy I'd like to see in another offense. I'm not going to lie.
So week 1, 8 of 17, again, under 50%, 121 yards.
Yeah, in a monsoon.
Okay, but you see a stat
Against the
consistent thing here,
49ers.
though? 8 of 17 is what he was last week or this week.
Yeah, he played shit this week. That's not. Yeah, I'm not discounting that he was garbage
Against
this
the
week.
Packers, 7 for 11, 70 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
so
the Packers have a
3
great defense.
games, I'm not even sure he's got like 312 yards in 3 games and like 4 or 5 interceptions.
He's got no one to throw to.
Josh Allen has 100 more passing yards in 1 game.
That he lost 100 more passing yards in 1 game that he lost. By the way, just putting that out there.
And
or you could look at
the
it this
Bears
way.
fans get to ride this little wave because they play the Giants next week again. So we're gonna keep hearing, "Oh, the Bears are so fucking great." And
yeah. Let's remember the Bears' offense might be one of the worst in the fucking league, and they're 2-1. I would love to honestly that now. If he failed in the Raiders' offense, I'd be like, yeah, let's throw him in the bin. That's fine. I'd love to see him on the Raiders' offense. That sounds great. Derek Carr would do so badly in that Bears team. He's like that. There's so many fits.
Derek Carr would die because he can't move like
there's only I can only think of maybe one worse fit in that Bears team, and it's Tom Brady.
Kirk Cousins, he can't move very well either.
Yeah, but Tom Brady might genuinely end his career having to go to the it's a bad fit because Tom Brady would walk into the practice facility and retire on the spot.
That's true too, because he'd get one play behind that offensive line and be like, "I quit. I'm out.
I don't need this
too much
shit.
Money. I'm out of here. 7 Super Bowl rings. See you later." Hey, Maddie, that's twice in a row that we did this in less than an hour.
Well done to us, right?
You'd almost think we were like fucking professionals or something.
I know. We're starting to get back into the swing of it, I think. That's what it is. This is why those quarterbacks that are struggling at the start of this year should have been doing more in preseason, and we should have been probably making more videos during preseason as well, just to keep ourselves loose.
Yeah, everybody needs a good preseason.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we will be back with our preview. I'm going to talk to Maddie, and I'll let you guys all know on social media when we're going to do that. Maybe we will do that again Sunday before the games. I'll talk to him and see what he's got going on.
I think it worked well before the game. I didn't let the people decide. Let's put a poll up because I can do Thursday, which is our normal time that we did last season, or we can do it before the game on Sunday, and we can put a poll on Facebook and let the people decide.
Let the people speak.
Let the people decide. That could work. Let's do that. All right.
Well, we're more democratic than most countries.
Yeah. Well, that we got into a weird political chat before the Cowboys game yesterday. Yeah. Cheers, man. Thank you.
Hey, everything's when it's somebody from the U.S. and somebody from Britain. It's always a weird political chat.
Every time.
Well, our governments work so differently. You know what I mean? So it's always like really weird to the other one.
Yeah, we need to do another. Real Talk needs to come back. That's what we need. We need in time.
Real Talk season 3, October 7th, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check that out.
It's almost like we set it up. Look at that. Jeez.
And make sure you go check out the playlist tomorrow, noon Eastern. Payne Gusto and I are having a fucking blast. It's over on YouTube at Overtime Hustling. We are having a blast with this.
And stay on to watch Well Beyond the Arc after us. Those guys are back covering loads of you.
That would be good if they weren't taking this week off now.
Oh, never mind.
As of this morning, you didn't know something came up with one of them. It's the off season, so they're taking. But don't miss MMA Underground at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight live with
there we go.
Fire Chicken and DTP from the Street Beefs West Coast.
That's a good one. That works well. Let's finish on that.
All right. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.